Alright, we're now into a new thing that's called boom and bust, and that would be the 1920s to until about the 1940s, really, with World War II, although the Great Depression did continue into that, but World War II is an entirely different entity. By boom and bust, we're talking about periods of rapid development and then really quick kind of going through it. So we have a pretty good period of development from the mid-1920s, maybe early 1920s, depending on who you are, until about 1929, and then we bust. So we are going to talk about that. Now, the first little section we have here are 1920s politics, in which we return to normalcy. So that is where we're going to start. Normalcy. What the heck is normalcy? First off, this is a very good book written about Warren G. Harding. He is a harbinger of normalcy. Harbinger is basically a bringer. He's a sign, etc. Normalcy means going back to the way things were. We've had 3 progressive presidents to this point, and they've been constantly trying to do stuff. So Warren G. Harding is going to go back to the kind of conservative manner of earlier presidents and not try to change a lot. He's going to go back to laissez-faire, not regulate as much business and let the businesses do what they want. And some of it's okay, and some of it actually is pretty bad for him. So Warren G. Harding as a president was not a very good one. Not because he didn't want to, but because he wasn't really good with his friends. And his friends kind of were his downfall. And your parents say all the time, careful who you're hanging around with. For Warren G., he should have paid a little bit more attention. His group of friends he surrounded himself with were called the Ohio Gang. And there were many of them, and there's many scandals related to them. Charles Ford taking veterans' bribes, etc. In particular, I'm going to focus on 2 men and 2 particular scandals. Okay, and in fact, his wife said, his friends keep me from walking the floor at night. And so that's a scary thing to do. Now, the first scandal I want to talk about is Teapot Dome. This is the Teapot Dome. Maybe a teapot. I'm a little teapot. Sure. But you have to imagine it. But there you go. So, the Teapot Dome scandal essentially was that we had an oil reserve for the Navy strategic oil. The cabinet member, the Secretary of the Interior, who we'll get to in a second, allowed private investors to come in and lease these lands. Well, this is strategic oil. And in return, he got bribes. Now, notice here that 2 men running, we have Warren G. Harding. It's going to affect him. It's going to the White House. And, of course, it's going to affect the Secretary of the Interior. His name is Albert Fall. Not that guy. I don't think I have a picture of Albert. Nope, I left Albert out. So, Albert Fall, he's right here, will be the first cabinet member, meaning a man that helps the president, to go to federal prison for his participation in the oil scandal. So that's kind of important. Now, the next man did something that was out of this country, and so he tried a different strategy and almost got away with it. This is Harry Daugherty. Harry Daugherty was the Attorney General. At the end of World War I, he went into these German chemical factories where they were producing gases and things like that, and they wanted to keep these businesses going, not to make weapons, but to keep people employed. And so he kind of turned a blind eye to it and received some bribes in return, and that is never good. When they brought him to the United States to try him on it, he claimed, I have immunity. Peter Griffin in Pretoria danced around and said, da-na-na, da-na-na, can't touch this. Immunity. So basically, immunity is kind of a protective wall. This guy's using so you can't touch his money, anything like that. In the case here, if you've played Monopoly, chance, immunity will get you out of jail. You won't have to go to jail. And unfortunately for Bart Simpson, he does not have diplomatic immunity. It didn't work for Albert Fall either. He said that since he was a diplomat in another country and trying to help this country out, he was immune and he should not have to go to jail. They saw otherwise and put him in jail. Now, Warren G. Harding goes about towards the end of his presidency, and he decides he's going to fix his reputation and start actually doing things. And he does do some things, and we'll talk about them maybe later on. But he passes away on a train deal. And so his vice president Calvin Coolidge takes over, and Calvin Coolidge actually wins re-election, or election, if you will, in 1924. He said, "We do not need more intellectual power, we need more spiritual power. We do not need more of the things that are seen, we need more of the things that are unseen." So Calvin Coolidge, again, is that conservative back to normalcy. He's going to kind of go back into the traditional way of doing things. And he was a big businessman, and he believed in letting business do what they win. He said all growth depends upon activity. There's no development physically or intellectually without effort, and effort means work. He also said the American business should be business. So Calvin Coolidge is going to continue in this mode here. He is conservative, and that's where we'll go next. After this, we're going to kind of move into some more kind of interesting things that happened here in the country around this time.